Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video we have my Game Week 12 team selection. The international break is finally over and we need to work out what we are doing with our teams. If you do enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button, and if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe as well. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So guys, we are finally back. An apology for the lack of content over the international break. I don't usually upload much over the international break anyway, but it was my girlfriend's birthday. Then I went to Budapest for 4 days and I really enjoyed that. If you've not been to Budapest, I highly recommend you do so. And then I was busy with some PhD work as well. I'm a busy man, but we are back with the FPL content now and it does feel good to be back. And if you are here watching this now, which of course you are, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And let's get back into it. But we should briefly review Game Week 11 first. This feels like an age ago. And on paper, it was a green arrow, a 400k green arrow. It's still not the rank that we want to be. But of course, it was an absolute flop of a bench boost. And I guess that's the main thing to discuss here. Because in terms of the team, got a Richards 8-pointer, which was fantastic. A Saka 12-pointer. And I needed that because I bought Saka 4 weeks ago. I bought in Pope and Saka for Raya and Bruno because I wanted to make the switch to get Saka in, and that just went horribly for the first 3 weeks, but finally, Saka delivers some points. So yeah, they basically single-handedly got me the green arrow, but yes, I played the bench boost for a grand total of 6 points, which is actually, can you believe it, my lowest bench score of the season. My other lowest was 7, then there was a couple of 8s, and then the rest have basically been double digits every single week. So this was single-handedly the worst week that I could have possibly played my bench boost. Now, I often get negative comments, as does any content creator, but I have had an extortionate number of crazy comments about how can you take a -4 and buy Kroopy to bench boost. So I'll very quickly clear that up. Yes, buying Kroopy to bench boost is a little bit suspect. The idea behind the -4 wasn't to bench boost and it wasn't to buy Kroopy. I have been watching Enzo Fernandez for the past 3 or 4 weeks and I have felt so incredibly lucky not to have been punished by him. He is getting loads of chances, creating chances. He's so involved in everything that Chelsea are doing. And he faced Wolves and Burnley. I already sold João Pedro recently. I did not want to go into Wolves and Burnley with the way that Enzo Fernandez was playing, probably on penalties, and not own him. So I wanted to upgrade Stack, and I decided I wanted to take a -4 to go from Stack to Enzo Fernandez. Of course, Enzo Fernandez blanks, even though I think he probably should have returned in that game. And so the -4 looks terrible. I had the choice to buy Kroopy or Thiago. Those were my two options. And obviously, in hindsight, maybe not even in hindsight, the extra 12 points that Thiago would have got me would be fantastic. The way that I viewed this was, I don't need 8 really strong attackers moving forward because the 7 that I've got right now, and we'll discuss that next week for sort of Game Week 12, I love my 7 attackers. I am very happy to play them basically every week. Apart from just making my bench boost a bit stronger, I didn't really need Thiago because it would just cause really bad benching headaches a lot of the time. And in a lot of the upcoming weeks, I was just benching Thiago anyway. Now, 79 minutes into the Game Week 11 game for Thiago, this looked like a decent decision. Kroopy had 1 point, Thiago had 2. Dan Burn then goes and gets sent off, gives away the penalty, and all of a sudden Thiago in the space of 10 minutes goes up to a 13-pointer. Now, I think hopefully that explains it. I just didn't really want an expensive 8th attacker. I wanted Enzo Fernandez. So I didn't take a -4 to bench boost. I didn't take a -4 to buy Kroopy. I wanted Enzo Fernandez. And I decided to just cheap out on the 8th attacker. So yeah, the bench boost was a flop. It was a really bad choice to bench boost this week. It couldn't have gone much worse. Even silly things like Senesi and Bournemouth conceding 4 goals. Rodon got 9 defcon. I know 2 points wouldn't have made a massive difference, but it would have been an 8-point bench boost and all of a sudden looks slightly better. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense in terms of the justification. Not that it needs it. My other justification could be I just wanted to. And I think that's fine in FPL as well. And the bench boost is just such a luck-based chip. Mukiele 17-pointer. Rodon's 13-pointer despite conceding a few weeks ago. Dubravka getting 9 points when he conceded 2.6 XG a few weeks ago. You just need one big lucky haul on your bench. And sadly, we didn't get that this week. But yeah, Game Week 11 was, overall, got to be a positive, right? 400k green arrow. At least we don't have to now talk about the bench boost for a little while. And we can now move on to Game Week 12. So let's now do that and move forward. So guys, looking ahead to Game Week 12, I only have the 1 free transfer, but I do have, because I went for Kroopy rather than Thiago, 2.7 million in the bank. And as you'll see when we move on to my transfer options, I can do a lot with 2.7 million. And if I can start to save up some transfers as well, that gives you ultimate flexibility in terms of multiple transfers and money in the bank. So that will be the aim moving forward. Maybe not this week, but to try and start stacking up those free transfers. My team is currently rated at 92% for this week. And in all honesty, I'm okay with it. But there are certainly some places where we could upgrade as well. I do just want to give a shout out to FootMob. You guys would have seen me using FootMob throughout my videos in pre-season and in season. You'll see me tweeting about it at the weekend. For me, FootMob is the best football companion app, and they are now sponsoring the team selection videos for the rest of the season here on this channel as well. If you want an app to check live scores, track DEFCON live, get the latest news, stats for teams, stats for players, just anything you could think of to do with the Premier League, and also international football, which we'll use throughout this video as well, different competitions, the Champions League, all of that lovely stuff, please check out FootMob. There'll be a link down below to download it for free. You'll see me integrating it throughout the content today because, honestly, it's the best. And I probably open FootMob, I'd say, 30 to 40 times per day at the weekend to check various things. Normally DEFCON because I'm an absolute nerd. But yeah, FootMob have been a massive supporter of the channel. So thank you to FootMob, and please use that link down below to download it. It is the best app out there. So let's start with the goalkeepers. And actually, speaking of FootMob, let's talk about Newcastle. Because Newcastle were the third best defence in the league so far this season for XGC. They have been playing really well. You'll see a screenshot on screen in terms of those best defences for XGC. But recently, there has been a bit of a drop-off with them. They are struggling, and it just feels like even like behind the scenes, off-field, the environment at Newcastle doesn't feel quite right now. They're struggling to click. I mean, if you look at league position as well, they are struggling a little bit. So you would normally say Newcastle at home, you always fancy them to do fairly well, but it is against Manchester City. So this week in particular, I don't feel great about having Pope. My alternative option is Dubravka against Chelsea, which maybe you prefer, but Burnley are one of the worst defences in the league this season. So if they've both got home fixtures, they're both playing against good attacks in Man City and Chelsea, surely I back the better defence, even if they're going to be without Dan Burn and they've been struggling recently, surely I back Nick Pope here. In all fairness, Pope and Dubravka almost definitely both concede. You could justify a goalkeeper transfer. And I guess moving forward, am I super confident in Nick Pope? No. But I just find the goalkeeper position so unpredictable in FPL. Like, Pope started the season on fire. And then since I brought him in, he's got 3-3-3. Like, it's just like you can't predict when keeper's going to go on a nice run. So I could quite easily sell Nick Pope now. And if you told me against Everton, Burnley and Sunderland, he got 3 clean sheets in the next 4, again, I wouldn't be hugely surprised. So I kind of feel like you just pick your goalkeeper, keep them as long term as you can, and hope they get you the points. But obviously, if Nick Pope continues to disappoint and get me 2s and 3s, I might have a decision to make, especially when we get those 5 free transfers. But I just can't see myself making a transfer right now. There are no goalkeepers that like stand out as I would absolutely love to have them instead. So let me know, because obviously I'm not bench boosting this week, who would you play out of Nick Pope and Dubravka here? I'm just about leaning towards Nick Pope at the moment. And then, of course, we move on to the defence. And this is where the man on the thumbnail, of course, GABRIEL, is going to be the key talking point this week. At the time of me recording, he is yellow flagged, but I am 99% sure, based on all of the news that we've had, that GABRIEL will miss the North London derby. David Ornstein did put out a post or an article where he said that it's looking at being around 1 to 2 months, and it could be that he's not back until January. In terms of FPL, it could be as many as like 10 game weeks that he misses, because we have deadlines coming thick and fast. So by all accounts, GABRIEL is almost definitely a sell. Now, there is always a chance it's closer to the 1 month, and maybe they get him back even quicker and it's 3 weeks. And I just look at my team this week, and as much as I don't believe that, by the way, I think GABRIEL will be a sell regardless, I don't know that I need to sell GABRIEL this week. Because actually, if GABRIEL was fit, it was causing a huge benching headache for me. Because the 3 defenders that are now in my starting 11 are Richards against Wolves, Senesi against West Ham, and Anderson against Sunderland. Now, I know Anderson, you would say on paper, Sunderland are a really good team. They're not the best attack. I know they've just scored a couple against Arsenal, and they have been scoring goals, but overall, their underlying data isn't that strong. Fulham are actually a better defence than maybe you'd think based on the amount of clean sheets they keep. Like, they do limit their opposition quite often, and it's at home. He's great for DEFCON. He's got some attacking threat. Like, I actually quite like that fixture for Anderson. And obviously, as you would expect, like Senesi and Richards for this week are really good. Both good for DEFCON. Both have a good chance for a clean sheet. And again, both carry some attacking threat and bonus points potential. Like, I think Richard, Senesi, Anderson are 3 of the best defenders you can have this week. And then I've even got Rodon against Aston Villa at home. Now, I'd ideally like to not start him. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet there, Leeds. But again, could get DEFCON. He's got a home fixture. We know that Leeds are better at Ellen Road. Like, I think those 4 defenders are absolutely fine. So even if another player was to miss out for me, I wouldn't mind playing that back 4. Now, that isn't me sitting here and saying that I don't think there are great players that I could bring in for GABRIEL. We'll discuss that in the next section. Like, obviously, Virgil van Dijk, Timber. I could go for another Arsenal defender. I couldn't go to Munoz because I already have Triple Palace. But there are various ways I could even go for a Man City defender, potentially. But is that a massive upgrade this week? Is Timber that much better than Anderson this week? He's probably better. Is Van Dijk that much better? Again, probably. Like, Van Dijk was brilliant in the international break. He got DEFCON, I think, in one of the games. It was very close in the other. Like, there are good options to bring in. I'm just not sure that I need to rush it this week. All it's going to do, like, if I did GABRIEL to Timber, I'm then back to needing to probably bench Anderson, which just doesn't feel quite right. Now, team value comes into account here. Like, is GABRIEL going to start dropping really quick? Potentially, especially if he is absolutely ruled out, which we are expecting to happen. So, yeah, let me know what you think on it once you've seen my entire team. I mean, he definitely is going to be a sell based on the news we have. I'm just not sure that I need to rush it right now. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the defence. So, not the greatest goalkeeper situation. My back 3 looks solid. Let's move on to the midfield 5. So guys, moving on to the midfield 5, I currently have Njai against Manchester United away, Sarr against Wolves away, Saka against Spurs at home, Semenyo against West Ham at home, and Enzo against Burnley away. Let's start with the 2 flag players. As far as I'm aware, Enzo Fernandez is absolutely fine. I think he's just had a rest over the international break. Obviously plays Burnley away in Game Week 12, which was the main fixture along with the Wolves game that I bought him for. And I'm very happy to have him at the moment. I could absolutely see myself soon, especially with the likes of Arsenal at home in Game Week 13, although I probably will free hit, as we'll discuss later in that week. Bournemouth away coming up. Maybe I could end up selling him, especially if Cole Palmer is back soon and that moves him deeper and he's off penalties. But for now, I'm pretty happy to have him. If he is a major doubt going into Game Week 12, and I'm actually wrong on this one, then there is the potential to sell and upgrade him because I have that 2.7 million in the bank, which we'll discuss in the following section. But as long as he's fit and available, I actually think he's a viable captaincy option this week. And then on Semenyo, this is a really interesting one, right? There have been various reports going around. So the first thing we know is that Semenyo was subbed off in the 55th minute for Ghana's final game in the international break. And apparently, I'm going to have to read this because I would not remember it. He had an issue with his left anterior talofibular ligament. Apparently had a small sprain. Apparently this was an issue that he's been struggling with anyway, and he maybe aggravated it. That's what a lot of the sort of Ghanaian articles around the national team was saying. And then there were rumours or articles going around that he actually left the squad due to personal reasons. His girlfriend at the time then posts about their 5-year anniversary, and then we find out that he proposes to his girlfriend, now fiance, and he's now engaged. Now, I guess all of these events could be happening at the same time. He might have genuinely had an injury that he aggravated, which is why he came off early. He might have then left the squad to go and propose. It's all a bit strange, I'll be honest. As of right now, I'm going to go under the assumption that Semenyo will play in Game Week 12. But of course, once again, similar to Enzo, like both of these, if either of them are a major doubt or out, I will just sell them because I would like to buy the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Brian Mbeumo. I've got lots of options with 2.7 million, or I could even free up more money and then have lots of options going forward. But yeah, it would probably be likely one of those 2 Manchester United mids. So all eyes on Enzo and Semenyo, but given they have Burnley and West Ham this week, and given that, assuming there are no other issues, I have Rodon with a home fixture as backup, I'd like to probably keep them if I can, unless they are like serious doubts. And again, if they were both fully fit, and I knew that they were, both of them are viable captaincy options. Moving on then to Bukayo Saka, on this graphic, about 10 minutes before I started recording, he actually had the captain's armband. I quite want to captain Bukayo Saka. I think he's been brilliant since coming back from his injury. It's a home fixture. Spurs have been anything other than solid defensively. I think he's in a nice run of form. He's looking confident. He'll be on penalties in the absence of Gyökeres. He takes set pieces. There's just so much to like about Bukayo Saka, I think, for this week. And in a game like this, I could see there being goals. So, yeah, I do like the idea of captaining him. But as we'll discuss when we move on to Haaland, Haaland just doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. I know he only got 4 points in Game Week 11, but he was one missed pen away from getting another 13-pointer. Scores in the international break as well. He's playing incredibly well. And Newcastle, as we discussed, aren't quite clicking at the moment. So I'd really like Saka. I'm certainly tempted. And I'm also tempted by another option in the forward line, which we'll discuss. And I'd love to know down below in the comments what you're thinking around captaincy. But obviously, as of right now, at least I'm very lucky and happy to have Bukayo Saka in the team. On Ismail Assar, very happy to have him as well. Wolves away, Man United at home, Burnley away. The next 3 fixtures from a sort of attacking perspective, you're playing against 3 of the worst defences in the league there. I really want Sarr to come good. I just think he's been points dodging a little bit. He's been scoring in the wrong competitions, and I'm hopeful that Wolves away is a good starting point for him. So there's no chance that I sell Ismail Assar anytime soon. Believe it or not, because I'm a massive fan, like if you've watched my content for a while, you'll know how much I like Iliman Ndiaye. He's maybe the one that is most likely to leave my team if Semenyo and Enzo are fit and I make a midfield transfer. Not because I think he's bad, and actually, around the price of 6.5 million, he is comfortably in the top 3 options, probably along with Enzo and Sarr for me. The fixtures aren't perfect coming up though, and it's more the fact that I have 2.7 million in the bank. At his price, I think he's great. But is he better than Mbeumo or Bruno Fernandes? Maybe not. He's probably better value, but I mean, if I've got the money to spend, I would probably prefer to have one of those with their upcoming fixtures. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with Iliman Ndiaye. I just might use that opportunity to potentially upgrade him because he is playing with bad finishers like Beto and Beto and Calvert-Lewin. Beto and Barry and Calvert-Lewin. Like Everton have just had terrible strikers in terms of finishing. I don't know if I can continue to watch Iliman Ndiaye set them up time and time again. His goal threat from open play is a little bit low, but I just think he's such a fantastic footballer. He's on penalties. He can get DEFCON. I still really like him, so I am hesitant a little bit to sell Iliman Ndiaye. So yeah, that's the midfield 5 right now. I'm honestly really happy with it. And it feels quite nice playing a 3-5-2. Because for most of the season, I've been in a 3-4-3 with a cheap 5th midfielder. But I look at those midfield 5 now. I like all of them. I'd be very happy keeping them. Really, the only one player I'd like to add is a Manchester United attacker, which isn't necessarily the biggest priority. Maybe a Liverpool attacker. I know the big talking point will be like Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Salah. Like, do we need them? I'm not sure that at any of their respective prices, they're that much better than these 5 here. So yes, there is a potential to make a midfield transfer if there are injuries or if I want to upgrade Ndiaye. But if not, I'm really happy with that midfield 5. So let's move on to the front 2, discuss the team overall, possible transfer plans, and then look ahead to some future weeks as well. So guys, as of right now, my front 2 is Mateta against Wolves away, Haaland against Newcastle away, and as always, as for the foreseeable future, I will have Krupi as my 3rd sub against West Ham at home. If I ever need Krupi, he might get minutes off the bench. There's a chance that he does start games. And if Evan Nilsson were to ever pick up an injury again, I would be very happy to have Krupi because all of a sudden he probably becomes a starter. So let's keep our eye on his minutes. But for now, the whole purpose of picking him was he might get some minutes, but I've kind of deaded off that 3rd forward spot and I don't need to worry about that for the time being. So let's talk about Erling Haaland. I'll flash up on your screen a screenshot from FootMob. And again, if you've not checked FootMob out, there'll be a link down below to download it for free, the best football app. Haaland is just tearing up at the moment. So, as I said, I was actually in Budapest for 4 days when the international games were on. I was in Hungary, by the way, when Ireland won that game. So there were a lot of very happy Irish fans. But I was obviously needing to still stay up to date on the international game. So FootMob was very, very useful for me to stay up to date. I was checking it all the time to see which players were scoring, how the teams were doing. I open it, Norway 4, Italy 1. Erling Haaland, 2 goals. Again, like the man cannot stop scoring. It's scary, like scary the rate at which he is scoring goals. And even in this game, you can see on your screen, 0.41 XG for Haaland in that game. It wasn't even a big XG performance. He's also finishing extremely well. Now, the man does miss chances, absolutely, but it's like, do you really want to bet against him? As I said, I know in game week 11, if you'd have gone for Saka instead, that looks great, but only because Haaland misses a penalty, which he doesn't do very often. And he missed a big chance as well in there. Like, I just think the quantity at which he is getting big chances right now and being on pens is just so difficult to back against him. Newcastle away would normally be the perfect opportunity. But as we spoke about, there are issues surrounding Newcastle. So, especially Dan Burn being out, I think is a big loss for them. So I'm not sure right now. Like, part of me thinks, yeah, just don't captain Haaland. Like, this is, if you're not going to captain someone else when Haaland has Newcastle away, when are you? Like, the fixtures coming up are brilliant. So are you just saying you're permanently captain Haaland? I don't know. It's going to be one of those that's so obvious in hindsight. If Haaland blanks against Newcastle away or doesn't do that well, and the likes of Mateta and Saka do, it will be like, yeah, well, Haaland had Newcastle away. Of course this was the week to go against him. Equally, if Haaland goes and twats in 3 goals and a 17-pointer, it will be like, yeah, why did you captain someone other than Haaland? Have you seen how many goals he scored recently? And that is what FPL and FPL comments are like. And it's funny as a content creator because I get to see all of them. But I don't know. I'd love to know down below what you think around captaincy. As of right now, I'm like, is that the position where I want to take on the crowd. This is what I always think in FPL. You can take on the crowd with chips, captaincy, transfers. I think my team's really nice. I've got a few nice differentials in there as well. Even Saka, really low owned actually, and he's not being bought by that many people. Like, I wonder, do I need to captain him, or is him just being lowly owned differential enough? So, yeah, I'm not sure right now, but there is certainly the opportunity to be back against Haaland despite his fantastic performances recently. And then Jean-Philippe Mateta, who I absolutely love, has Wolves away. And in all fairness, I think Mateta, Saka and Haaland are all very close for captaincy in my own team. As I say, Semenyo and Enzo are options. Bruno and Mbeumo are options too. But Mateta in particular, with the way he's playing, I'll flash up on screen again, Mateta scoring goals for France, which is amazing to see. I actually saw, by the way, a tweet that was put out where it showed like his progression in his career, and it's obviously fantastic for him. It looks like he's going to the World Cup with France, and he might be one of their starting strikers. It's just, yeah, the man can't do much wrong at the moment, and he's scoring goals really well. He gets so many chances, and yes, he does miss a lot of them, but you do like the idea of captaining a player with a fixture like that that's actually getting the chances too. So I don't know where I stand at the moment, but certainly Haaland and Mateta for me are the two best forwards to own in FPL, with Kruppi as my third forward. So that's the team. If we just look at that team right now, apart from Pope, who has a home fixture anyway, and there's no goalkeepers that I desperately rather own this week that I could go and get, I think the team is looking really, really solid. But I do have 2.7 million in the bank, and there's no desperate need to spend that right now, but also I don't just have to roll for the sake of it. If I see a position where I can upgrade and use that money, why not get the money back into the starting 11? So we're going to have a look at that in a moment, some of the possible transfers, and then do a bit of planning ahead. But let me know what you think of my team. And before I even look at my transfer options, let me know if you would roll this or if you'd make a transfer. So guys, this section will be pretty quick because I've already discussed within the team selection part the transfers that I'm looking at. But just to recap, the two most likely options for me, with option 3, I've got the classic quote from Oscar Wilde: to do nothing at all is the most difficult thing in the world, the most difficult and the most intellectual. Oscar Wilde was basically someone that loved rolling up to 5 free transfers. So, of course, option 3 and possibly the most sensible option is to just roll. But options 1 and 2 do interest me. So option 1, oh, whistled there. Option 1 is Gabriel to Timber Saliba, Virgil van Dijk, or Gvardiol, or Nico O'Reilly, or any number of defenders. Basically, the only option that I don't have is to buy Munoz because I already have 3 Palace. So unless I fancy selling Richards instead, and I guess that's an option, Richards to Munoz, I can't get Munoz. So I think probably, considering I don't have David Raya and Arsenal are still, even without Gabriel, the best defence in the league, it probably does make sense to just do Gabriel to an Arsenal defender. Timber and Calafiori have much higher upside. Saliba is just absolutely nailed on, you'd imagine, in the absence of Gabriel. And maybe, I don't know if you remember this, but when was it? Was it, I think, last season when Gabriel picked up an injury and Saliba scored like 2 goals in like 3 games or something like that? Maybe they start aiming for Saliba now. He's not great in the air, but who are they aiming for in the absence of him? Maybe it is Saliba. And also, maybe Saliba will start picking up more DEFCON responsibility because so far this season he's not been great. Lots of hypothesizing, but certainly buying an Arsenal defender makes sense. Van Dijk, I'm so unsure where to stand with Liverpool's defence because defensive data this season, they're like 4th or 5th for XGC. Like they've been okay overall for underlying data, but they just give up so many chances. Like you never feel like a clean sheet is that likely. But Van Dijk is great in the air. He's not scored as many goals as you'd expect in recent seasons, but when he does get the chance, he's good. He's great for DEFCON, like exceptional for DEFCON for a premium defender. And the fixtures are so good coming up for Liverpool. So I do still think Van Dijk's a great buy, but I'm struggling to be fully on board with it, just given I have been watching Liverpool recently and my eyes are not impressed when I watch them defensively. And then Gvardiol, Nico O'Reilly. Like, Nico O'Reilly interests me a lot. Mateus Nunes is like I look at those fullback options and I just think, especially with 8 Nuri off to AFCON, by the way, like Nico O'Reilly's a real serious option. But maybe Gvardiol's the safe one. He actually scored himself during the international break for Croatia. His minutes tend to be pretty good, but I'm just like, do I want to bother with Pep? Do I think Man City are that good defensively? I mean, they're pretty good, but are they that much better than Arsenal? No, they're definitely not better than Arsenal. Are they much better than Liverpool? Maybe slightly, but Van Dijk's more nailed on. Arsenal are a better defence. I think realistically, it's probably Timber, Saliba or Van Dijk. But then again, do I need to do that this week? We've already seen my team. That is not none of those are a massive upgrade on my defence this week. So I think I'm going to leave it. Now, we're going to discuss in the next section. I'm probably going to free hit in 13 as things stand. So I can't sell GABRIEL next week either. It wouldn't be until 14. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Wait a couple of weeks. Maybe we get a positive update. Maybe GABRIEL's all of a sudden back in training. I don't know. Probably unlikely. But I could be bleeding team value in the meantime. Obviously, any of those moves will give me at least 3 million in the bank, because GABRIEL is more expensive than all of them. So it will leave me very flexible moving forward to make other transfers. The other one which I'm really considering, but struggling to get fully on board with as well, is selling Iliman Ndiaye to Bruno Fernandes or Bryan Mbeumo. Now, I think from open play, Bryan Mbeumo has been the more impressive one. His underlying data is great. But I still think Bruno Fernandes is on penalties. I'll flash up on the screen his performance against Armenia. Now, I know, not the best opposition. When Portugal won 9-1, 1.89 XG, 3 goals, 1.18 XA. So the man has had over 3 XGI in that game. He's just 8 chances created, 4 shots on target. Bruno is just such a good footballer. And I know it doesn't always translate into FPL points, but I do feel like with the fixtures going up and the way that he's playing and Manchester United just starting to click a little bit more, I think he'll just continue to return. DEFCON, penalties, assists, bonus points. He's just such a good player. Like, I really do miss having him in my team. So do I think Fernandes, again, is better value than Iliman Ndiaye? No. But I do think he'll get more points, and I've got the money to spend. And not many other positions that I'm desperate to spend it in as of right now. I also think, obviously, with Bryan Mbeumo, as well as Iliman Ndiaye, off to AFCON, Ndiaye to Mbeumo's fine, but around either 17 or 18, depending upon when he goes off to AFCON in Mbeumo. Apparently, Manchester United are discussing that with Cameroon as of right now. Then that's still another transfer I then need to make. With Bruno Fernandes, I could just keep him indefinitely. I know people don't like Bruno Fernandes, but I think people would probably accept that he is better than Iliman Ndiaye. So maybe I just get that transfer done. But then that does only leave me with around 0.3 million in the bank. So I then lose all of my flexibility moving forward. But again, if I look at my team, and we can actually go back to my team. If I look at my team right now, and I do Bruno Fernandes in for Iliman Ndiaye, I don't know that there's anywhere that I desperately do need that money. Unless it's to try and get in a Gakpo for Enzo or something like that. Or if I wanted to do Meteta up to Ekatike or something in the future. But I just don't see myself needing to make those right now. And if I do, I can make a double move. For example, I could downgrade Saka in order to be able to afford that. So, yeah. That's where I'm sitting right now with it. Let me know if you like option 1 or option 2. And for the final section, I just want to show you Game Week 13, discuss the possibility of a free hit, and just look forward a couple more weeks. So guys, let's just do a little bit of planning ahead. I've just jumped over to Fantasy Football Hub. There'll be a link down below, by the way, if you want to do a little bit of planning ahead yourself or get access to any of their other features. I would highly recommend checking it out. But yeah, Game Week 12, let's just say for now I do roll. I don't know if I'm going to roll. It might be that I make one of the other moves. But I just want to discuss briefly Game Week 13. I mean, it is obviously we're not needed to make this decision right now. But I do think free hit's an interesting one, because one of the reasons to free hit in 13 is Chelsea play against Arsenal. Lots of other people will be sat there with double defence, maybe like Raya, Timber, Saka, Enzo, João Pedro, something like that. Like, I'm only sat there really with Saka and Enzo, both of which I think are fine in this fixture. And I think there could be goals. Like, I'm not needing to ship out triple Arsenal to try and go elsewhere. And I'm not saying you need to, by the way. I just know that that is part of the justification for maybe free hit. Outside of that, I know a lot of people will maybe decide to move off of a couple of their Crystal Palace. I don't mind having triple Palace against Man United at home. I actually don't mind Sunderland away for Senesi and Semenyo. Haaland against Leeds at home is great. Ndiaye's got a home fixture. I don't think this team's horrible. Now, do I think it could be improved? Yes. But I also think, like, everyone and their mother is going to free hit in Game Week 13. It's just so popular for so many people. So I am at a position now in my team and my season where I'm like, could I try and offset that strategy? Do something a little bit different? But again, there are loads of places that I could upgrade this team. So I'm still leaning towards doing it, but I'm maybe like 10% less committed than I was before the international break. Let's see what happens. Like, the main issue I've got is my defence doesn't look great because of Gabriel obviously being out. I'm having to play out Anderson against Spurs away. I've got a clash between Pope and Ndiaye. Obviously, Enzo against Arsenal at home isn't ideal. There are certainly places that I could upgrade this team. So I need to have a little bit of a think, but possibly a free hit in 13. Let's say I free hit or don't, but I would then come back to this team in Game Week 14. I'd have my triple Palace against Burnley away, which is great. This week, I'd probably play Dubravka instead of Pope, in all honesty, against Crystal Palace rather than Spurs. But the rest of my team looks great. Like, all of my attackers I'm very, very happy with. And obviously, at this point, I still have GABRIEL as a player that I would need to sell, assuming that I free hit in 13 rather than selling him. And I think I would absolutely do that at this point, assuming there is no sign of GABRIEL being back soon, because I've got Anderson against Man City at home. Obviously, if we get news that like GABRIEL again has made a quicker recovery than we thought, or he's very close to being back on the grass, it might be a nice differential play to just keep him. And maybe at this point, because I've got 2.7 million in the bank, maybe I sell Rodon to a cheap defender. I don't know who that would be. Maybe like a Chelsea defender, or maybe I go for, God forbid, a Manchester United defender, but like another 4.5 defender to just rotate with Anderson, Senesi, and Richards, and maybe hold on to GABRIEL. But this whole time, I'm sat here without without a single Arsenal defender. Lots of other people, like I say, will have Raya and Timber. I've only got GABRIEL, and Arsenal's defence are so good that I think at this point it's either got to be Timber or Van Dijk coming in for me. So that would be the probable option. Let's just say for now, do I back against them? I just don't know that I can completely. So I'm going to say I might end up going Saliba. I've got a feeling Saliba is going to become an option. I know it's really boring right now, but I just feel like in the absence of GABRIEL, maybe he'll step up. So I'd make a transfer like that. That would still give me, like I say, 3 million in the bank. Then going into game week 15, I'd have an option. Like at this point, I'm starting to think about selling the likes of Njai and Sarr. I don't think they'll be off to AFCON until game week 17. Some of them game week 18. But at this point, I'm looking at Bruno Fernandes again in for Njai or Sarr. I'm looking at Enzo at this point, by the way. Not that far into the future, but if Palmer does come back soon, or if I'm still just thinking he's dodging points, then there's the option to upgrade him too. I think the team's in a really nice spot with the money in the bank, but I do need to start saving free transfers. Now, we will get a free set, well, we'll be topped up to 5 free transfers between game week 15 and game week 16. So you might say, Ross, you don't really need to save free transfers, like keep using them. But what might be nice is we get to game week 15, I use all of my transfers that I've saved up, basically rejig the squad around, and then going into game week 16, when we get the 5 free transfers topped up, maybe it would be nice to just keep them, rather than having to use them. I use my ones before as a big set, and then I have the 5 free transfers to just keep, and each week I can use one of them. Then I think you're in a position of strength. But there are various ways to play this. We've not got a lack of free transfers coming up, so I also don't mind the idea of getting aggressive. So let's go back to my team, and I will ask you the question, what would you do with this team? Would you make a transfer? Would you roll it? If you would make a transfer, what would you be looking at? Obviously, this will depend what news we get in the press conferences as well, but I'm feeling good. Hope you can get a few green arrows and start to get to a slightly better overall rank. So guys, there you have it. That is my Game Week 12 team selection. It feels good to be back. If you did enjoy this video, please do smash that like button and please make sure to subscribe. If you've not checked out FootMob, there'll be a link down below to check them out. Completely free to download. I highly recommend it. But until next time, thank you very much. Bye-bye.